And we welcome you here to the first edition of TeeSibs Interviews right here on WEHL and the media channel. Hi, everyone. TeeSibs with you. And we're going to do one of these hopefully every week and give you a chance to enjoy listening to some of the folks who are in the league and who make the league. And tonight, a guy who got me involved in this league to begin with, it's Doc Marshmallow as my guest tonight. So stay tuned and listen to what he has to say about the league and about life in general right here on TeeSibs Interviews. And again, TeeSibs back with you and my guest tonight. As I mentioned earlier, we've got Doc Marshmallow with us tonight, who is a commissioner for the league this season. And we'll see if it's past the season, depending on how things are going. Doc, how's it going, buddy?
It's going good.
So,
going good.
Yeah. Obviously, we're recording this on the Saturday before the season starts, and so obviously a ton of things going on right now. You guys are pretty busy behind the scenes getting ready, aren't you?
Yeah, very busy. We noticed an issue with the salaries right after the draft, and instead of just letting it happen the way it is, we're like, okay, we've been spitballing all week to figure out a plan on how to fix it because a lot of teams were over. And it didn't make a lot of sense. So we redid it. We found a small little error, and I've spent the last 7 hours with Pucker fixing that error. And now I think only 2 teams are over. So it gives everybody more room to trade and get under the cap than before.
Very good. So obviously plenty going on there. You're taking over this season as a commissioner in the league. But, you know, I want to go back a little bit in history, which is not too long ago. The first time that I saw you in a league, I saw you in net for the WBS Penguins in LG back in season 9. You know, you had some really good games in the playoffs for them. To me, you look like somebody who was a burgeoning goaltender in this game. I remember being impressed with the way you played. You know, I didn't even know who you were, hadn't talked to you yet. And you know, I think your personality shows up in your game. You're very calm in net. You don't overreact, and when you do make a move, it's pretty calculated. I think that says a lot about who you are, not only in the game but in person. But let's talk more about what kind of exposure you had in online gaming leagues before LG in season 9. Were you in any other leagues before that?
So I first came in, I want to say like season 4 of the FB league. I played like a bunch of drop-ins, and I played a drop-in with this guy named Coach 3344 or something.
Right.
And he spammed me, begging me to join this FB league. And I didn't think I was good enough to do leagues. I was just playing for fun. And so I tried it, and, you know, I kind of enjoyed it. And then everybody was telling me about LG. So I signed up for LG, I think the end of season 7, and then played my very first full season, season 8. And then, you know, season 9 got me to where I was getting exposure, I guess. But that was the limited amount I had. I definitely liked the organization of LG more than FB. Right. And I really wanted to see FB kind of like start to get to that point, but we all know how that ended.
Right. So you get involved with the league last season. You get involved at least with helping out, and this year you wind up taking commissioner. So the first question that comes to mind is, what kind of pictures do Keith and Scott have on you that made you agree to be commissioner of the league for season 2?
Honestly, they have the same pictures everybody else has. I really need to stop sending those out.
There you go. No, seriously though, why did you accept this role this season? What did you see in season 1 that made you say, you know, I want to be involved in this in season 2? I think I have something to add to it.
I'm friends with Keith and Scott, and I've watched what they were doing, and I liked what they were doing, but I felt like I think as you described it, I got that calm, calculating demeanor. I think they kind of needed that because I'm sure people have seen in the Discord sometimes they get a little hot.
Right.
So I like to be the one to pull back on the reins a little and be like, do we really want to make that move, or is that impassioned, or is that dispassionate, and is it the proper move, and
Right.
I feel like that little bit might be enough to help this league get to the next level. I also like to analyze what they're doing, see where the errors are, where people are able to manipulate the system and try to shut those down as fast as I can. I'm not amazing at it, but I have caught quite a few since I've taken over.
Mm-hmm.
But I like what they're doing with the league. They have a good vision. I think they just need a little help with the executing.
We talked. You mentioned a little bit about Facebook, and obviously they ran into some issues over there in the last season. A bunch a bunch of people left. I've never quit a league, and I started in LG back in season 1 on the PSN side. I have never quit a league. I never believed in doing that, but I saw such a mess on my own team, and then just saw a lot of other teams having issues as well. A lot of people just not taking it even slightly seriously, and I wound up quitting halfway through because it was a big mess. Now, I'm wondering if there's anything that happened in the Facebook League that you think you can take over to season 2 here. What are some of the things you think you learned there that are going to be helpful in your job this season?
The big thing I took away from FB was the importance of transparency amongst the admins to the league and giving the league its own voice. The FB admins were they were very tight knit, and they wanted to keep everything kind of private, and so there were always allegations of the admins changing rules or running the league how they wanted
Sure.
to benefit their team. And then eventually I started to see some of it, and as people know, it disgusted me, and I actually ended up exposing it, and that's what hurt a lot of that league. But it's not fair to the players to be in a league where people at the top are manipulating it
Sure.
for the betterment of their team, and that's why this season I'm not on a team. I will not play in the league because I do not want to have a dog in the fight.
Right. Right.
We're pushing slowly to have more of the admins not be on teams. Obviously, it's a video game everybody wants to play, so they want to play in the league. So right now, I'm that guy that's not in the league, gets to make unbiased decisions every time.
Mm-hmm.
My deputy commissioner, Ryan, as you know him, the Deuce in the Dirt, he asked if he could play on a team so that he could report to me what he's seeing in teams.
Right.
Like, give me that perspective of a player so that I'm not too far removed from that, and I can feel what the players feel. So that's why he's staying as a player, but he's not going to be management.
Well, let's expound a little bit more on that. You mentioned Deuce. He also comes over from Facebook, joined you as your deputy. And you mentioned it, but it's obvious to me because I heard from both of you guys when this league was going on, season 1. You both contacted me, said, "Look, things are much different over here. It is a solidly run league. We like what's going on. We think you could be useful in media. We think you'd like playing here. What do you think?" And so I know both of you had spoken to me, and I know it's important. I believe for Deuce to be here for you. You two seem to respect each other a good deal. So tell me, what does it mean to you to have Deuce over here in this league helping you out?
It's huge. So the first time I met Deuce, I think it was back season 4 in FB, and I had just gotten added to the game day chat, and his title was King of the Chirps or something like Elite Chirps.
Sure.
And he was always chirping people. And to try to get myself noticed, I decided to try to get into a chirping war with him. I think I lost, but that's when I really started to respect him. And then we started playing together here and there. And then as soon as I was the head of discipline, he would throw me ideas that I would ask him for his perspective. And he's much different than that chirping guy that I remember, where
Sure.
he is very smart. He's great at coming up with these ideas. He comes up with them fast, and he's been in every league, so he knows how they all run, and he's been paying attention to what he could do better. or what he could take from this league and improve with this league, like ideas from different leagues. So he has insight that I might not catch or have. And so to me, it's huge to have him. I told Keith that I would not take this job unless I had him on my staff,
Right.
because I respect his opinion so much.
And so I want to wrap up a little bit about what you have planned for the season. What do you think? You know, obviously coming in season 2, it's your first season as a commissioner. What's your goal in this first season? What's the big picture for you? What's going to be a sign that the season is a success for you when it comes to the end of season 2?
So, big picture, for this season, I know a lot of people think that I'm taking over and I'm changing stuff, but the reality is Keith and Scott have given me their vision. They've given me their baseline of what they want. I'm coming in this season kind of still learning the ropes of what they want, plus trying to manage and make happen, like execute their plan. So as long as we have a successful season with no huge controversy, I'm going to call that a good one. And then while we're doing that, the big picture for me is planning next season to create more parity between the teams, so that we have a better competition throughout the league. And I've talked to a few people about it, and I'm not going to keep this a secret. We plan to do a draft and blind bidding next season.
Okay.
And that's our idea of letting the players set the value of the owners set the value of the players through bidding. They're going to bid how much they feel that player is worth, and that will be that person's salary, instead of this points per game, which doesn't really do anything for the defenseman.
Right. And we'll talk a little bit more about the game towards the end of the interview here, but I want to touch base a little bit about your life before getting involved in all this nonsense of video hockey gaming. And I call it nonsense really compared to what you were doing in an earlier time in your life. To me, video gaming is it's gaming. It's playing a game. You in a younger incarnation were not playing games. Tell the folks a little bit about what you did in your early 20s. What was your job? What were you doing?
Oh, so what's funny that you mentioned the whole video games to real life thing. When I was, I think, 18 or 19, I had a friend come back from Iraq, and I was playing that Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and I thought it was so realistic. I wanted to show him it.
Right.
And see his opinion, and he told me to get that video game out of his face. So I learned quickly that there was a big difference. And then I ended up joining the Army. I went through basic training, all that, became a medic, and deployed within a year. So I was in Afghanistan at 20, I want to say 22, 23, during that big push. And I was just, I was living on a mountain with no electricity, barely enough water, couldn't even shave because there wasn't enough water. And then, we were getting shot at like almost every day. We'd wake up. I used to joke that our alarm clock was a rocket hitting the side of the mountain.
Jeez.
But it was. I remember watching my friend run out of the little toilet that we built out of like little baskets and ammo crates. And he ran out with his pants around his ankles, thinking he just died in a rocket attack.
Oh, yeah.
So, it definitely put clarity on, what gave me perspective that I think I've struggled with people, because they complain about all these little things that don't really matter, when every day you're being shot at. Mm-hmm. And you're wondering if you're going to have enough food. And that really puts into perspective, like, I remember I used to get so mad at people caring about the voice, because I'm like, who really cares? At least you're eating today.
Yeah, right.
It made me one of those snobs for a long time. It took me a while to calm down from that. And and realize that people need hobbies. You know, if you're not being shot at, you get bored and you need a hobby. So that's kind of what brought me into the leagues is I needed a hobby.
And so what you're saying, and it sounds like the worst of the worst of it, probably the most terrifying thing of your experience on that mountain in the Army is, and you mentioned no electricity. So you're telling me you didn't have a PlayStation with you?
Oh no.
And you didn't have the ability to be on Discord and chirp people. Is that what you're telling me? 'Cause that sounds
Yeah.
horrendous, my friend. How could you
We
live
had-
without chirping people?
We had to have rock fights.
Rock fights. Oh, you
We
mean
would just pick up rocks and throw them at each other.
you mean you legitimately could get hurt as opposed to the fake injuries you get in NHL? Okay, I see.
I remember my old senior scout used to. He would just sit down on his cot and he would look at me or look at somebody and go, "You and you fight. I'm bored." So that was like a year of my life. That and digging. So
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, hey, listen, you know, on behalf of anybody else who's got half a brain out there, thank you for your service and for putting yourself out there. It's people like you who, despite what a lot of younger adults might think, this country was built on being able to defend ourselves and defend the things we believe in. It's people like you who are able to do that. So thank you for your effort.
oh, thank you for that. That means a lot.
Hey, let's get a little bit more into maybe the game itself. Just a couple, and then we'll get to a sudden death round of a couple of questions. But I just want
Right.
to ask you a little bit about, as obviously we only got a couple more months left of this horrible NHL 19 game, but and as a goaltender, I certainly have my own opinions about the game and what I don't like about it and what I do like about it. What are some of the key pluses and minuses about the game, or is it all minuses for you in your mind?
So I do like that when you're a skater, it doesn't feel like you're, you know, driving a battleship, but at the same time, that whole L2 pivot thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, it's disgusting. Like
Because that's realistic in the game, right?
So if they had made it to where an enforcer couldn't do it, but a dangler could,
Sure.
I get it. They can move fast. They're nimble. But when every single build can do it, you just have to go a little slower, and they're harder to knock off the puck.
Right. Because we see we see some of the biggest players backing into the zone and backing into the net all the time with the puck.
Yeah, and it's so hard as a goalie to read when the guy could just move either direction and the defense can't really do much against it.
Right.
That's one of the hardships. And then this year for goalies, I know everybody's save percentage has gone up, and people say goalie is OP, but it really isn't. And the biggest thing is those like what is it, the tight corner shots, like the weird angles from around the post. It's so hit or miss if you're going to be able to make that save, even with good positioning. You know, if you cover the post, it's probably still going to go between your skate and the post.
Right. Yeah.
So
That's a fun one too. The goal
that's
line.
a fun one. Or watching it.
The goal line clappers from the corner that get past you.
Yeah.
Because again, you see that a lot in watching the real game. I guess I get frustrated more about it because I'm not younger, so my mindset isn't how can I exploit the game. My mindset is I want to play the game the way it realistically is played. But that's dumb because kids 30 years younger than me don't give a shit about that. All they care about is putting one past you in any dirty, disgusting way they can.
Yeah, when goal line sitting is probably the best way to play defense.
Yeah.
Or not defense, but goalie.
Right.
There's something wrong. Like it takes out the whole, let's play the proper depth, challenge the puck. You don't have to do that in this game. Your goal line sit and you're pretty much set.
And it's amazing that 16 was like that. They kind of got away from it in 17, and then it started coming back in 18, and then 19, we're right back where we were 3 years ago.
I did enjoy goaltending in 17. I just wish the the post hug was smoother.
Right.
18 annoyed me. 19 annoyed me even more. I don't know why.
Now we're getting
But
ready
it
to
did.
plunk another $20, another $60 down on this stupid game.
Yeah, well, hopefully the Frostbite engine helps. I don't know. I
We'll
doubt
see.
it.
Hey, listen, well, let's get to the sudden death questions before I let you go.
All right.
All right. Just a couple of questions here I want to hit you with. Favorite position to play in NHL? Is it goaltender for you, or do you prefer playing something else when not playing league?
It's definitely goaltender because growing up I used to play as a goalie in street hockey. I never got to realize that dream,
All right.
so this is my chance. I definitely like it, but lately I've been wanting to play more defense to pretend like I know how to clamp.
All right. Favorite all-time teammate, and it could be league or it could be club. Who's any favorites?
Definitely Gillifly 10.
Okay.
He was with me in FB from the very start, and then we kind of split ways in LG. But he was trying to always get me on his teams. He's definitely the nicest and one of the best players I've ever seen.
Player who gives you the most anxiety as an opponent.
White knucklers.
Gotcha. Yeah, he's probably any goaltender's nightmare, I would think.
He's so good at those little. He'll clean up the garbage or dangle you. So he's a dual threat. I don't like him.
Biggest jerk in any league that you've played in?
I would go with Tikos.
Okay.
I can never say his name right. He's a friend of mine, but he's such a jerk.
See, you're being nice about it now. And finally, if you could pick anyone, it could be one person, it could be a lineup. It's up to you. Who's in your starting lineup right now? If you are sitting in net with a team in front of you, who's at least one player, or if you want to name all five that you'd want in front of you?
All right, let me try. White knucklers, Tommy, Gillifly, Dowden, and Deuce.
All right. Very good, sir. Hey, listen, thanks for your time, buddy, and I appreciate everything you do for the league. And like I said earlier, being part of the armed forces, I have, so much, I give so much credit to someone who does that. And, I mean this as a compliment, even though it might not come off as one. You're probably the most mature individual I've ever played NHL with in any league or in any club. And I know the bar is really low, but believe me, you're absolutely one of the most mature and responsible individuals I've met in this game and really in life too. And thanks for being on the show tonight, and thanks for getting me involved in this to begin with.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for coming, and thanks for inviting me.
Doc Marshmallow with me tonight on TeeSibs Interviews. We hope you enjoyed the first show there. We've got more coming up, and I just want to close out the show with my own final thoughts on the season and coming up and some of the things going on right now. Listen, the first season was pretty damn successful for something that was thrown together and was executed in lieu of another good alternative when Facebook was having issues, and so it wound up being a damn good first season and some great competition. Season 2 is upon us, is about to start. As I'm recording this on Saturday night, June 7th, we are getting ready for Season 2. And the only disheartening thing to me, and again, I'm an old guy. I've said it over and over again. I have no qualms about saying I'm going to be 54 next month. So I am not the norm in this league, without question, obviously. But, just looking in the Discord, I get people want to chirp. God, I fucking can't stand that word chirp. It is so immature in my head. But anyway, people want to chirp. And I get that. It's part of what we used to call it shit talking. Or actually, a long, long time ago, we used to call it ragging. So that's long before you kids were even around. So, And it's all part of the game, you know. It's a psych game. You try and psych people out. That's what we used to say. I had a friend of mine, Mickey, when I grew up in the neighborhood. Everyone wanted to be on his team because he knew how to psych out everybody. He did it so masterfully, and he was an expert at it, and he always got under everyone's skin. And I get that game. That's been going on forever. Like I said, I'm going to be 54. You know, for 45 of my years, I've been watching guys psych each other out. It's not new. It's just that you guys do it in a social networking environment. We used to do it face to face, so that if you piss somebody off, you might have to deal with the consequences. In Discord, you really don't. You're hiding behind a keyboard, so it's real easy to make comments and get under someone's skin and not worry about how much how far you take it, because there's no real consequence. So I get the idea of psyching out. I get all of that. But when you start making it really personal, when you start accusing people of doing something that's illegal, you're doing this about a free video gaming league. Nobody's making any money on this. And you're taking it to the point where you're making it incredibly personal about somebody in a free video gaming league. I mean, think about that for a second even. And I get it. I understand. There's a lot for a lot of you to learn. If there's one thing I know about life, is that you don't ever know everything. You know, in your 20s and 30s, there are times when you think you've figured it all out. What I've learned at this point in my life is you'll never figure it all out. You're going to fuck up a lot more in the next couple of decades of your life when you finally get into your 50s like I am. And so what you hopefully will learn is that none of this means anything. It's a damn video game. If you want to accuse people of something, a serious thing that you're, a serious accusation against them, for what? For what? Do you have proof about what they said or what they did? If you do, why are you saying it in a Discord chat? Don't you think maybe you should call authorities? Well, we know it's all bullshit. It's just a matter of trying to get under someone's skin. And I get that. Like I said, when we were little kids, 14, maybe up to 15, 16 at the most, we used to shit talk all the time. We used to try and psych people out. And there was a point where we just stopped because we grew the fuck up. I'm hoping some of you grow up one day. I'm hoping some of you eventually figure it out about what's important in life. And that's why I talked to Doc tonight. That's why I showed that video of the time that he spent over in Afghanistan. That's real life. That's what's important. That's what matters. You're sitting here making an effort to get under someone's skin by accusing them of something awful. And you're making it a priority to do that. I hope at some point in your life, you'll think twice about this someday and realize, man, that was just such a dumb move. It was childish, and I'm glad I left that behind. I'm hoping you get to that point. I'm sure many of you will not get there. I feel for your families and anybody you care about if you never get there, because it's going to be incredibly sad if you don't ever get there. All right, jumping off my soapbox, I am done for tonight and TeeSibs interviews. I hope that everyone really enjoyed the show tonight and had a blast listening to the interview with Doc Marshmallow. Plenty of these coming up in the coming weeks, and we hope that you'll be tuning in, as usual, every week here to TeeSibs interviews. Check out all the media on WEHL. Go to worldehockey.com, worldehockeyleague.com, and check out the webpage. Well, it'll be posted up there every week. And we'll have an archive of them for you to go to. Again, thanks everyone for tuning in tonight to TeeSibs Interviews and to the WEHL. I'm TeeSibs saying so long. We'll talk to you next week.